Hello, and welcome to another episode of Todd Talks. When Todd Talks, people listen. Kidding, kidding. Not gonna do my own little Todd cry because when I cry, it's like. Anyway, so yes, it is time for another death battle. Has it already been 2 weeks? Yes, it has. We are just days away from the second episode of season 7, Black Canary versus Queen Sindel. It's DC Comics versus Mortal Kombat, which I believe is a first for Death Battle. I mean, obviously not a first for the properties because we had Mortal Kombat versus the DC Universe, but we don't like to talk about that one. So, and of course, the timing is perfect because by the time that the episode comes out, it'll be the opening weekend of Birds of Prey, the movie, which features uh, Black Canary, and the reviews have already come out, and it's looking really good. So, go DC Comics. But does that mean DC Comics is going to get the win? Because clearly Death Battle is biased. So let's get right down to it. So before there was the Justice League, there was the Justice Society of America. And among the many men and women who were in this society was Dinah Drake. Not Lance, Drake. Dinah Drake was a non-powered member of the team. Sounds like a certain other someone we know. And she was a master of martial arts. And then eventually she got married to a police officer and became Dinah Laurel Lance. See, that's where the name comes from. And that's also why there were multiple Canaries in Air, but that's another story entirely. So eventually the two had a daughter who they also named Dinah Laurel Lance, because that's not confusing at all. And after some growing pains, if you will, she too became the Black Canary. Now, one of the things that establishes Black Canary as one of the predominant one upper tier. Let's go upper tier. One of the upper tier members of the DC Comics universe is her training. She was trained at first by the legendary Justice Society of America member Wildcat. Wildcat was the world heavyweight champion boxer, but he was also a master of many other martial arts, all of which he taught to Dinah in respect for her and for her mother to make sure that she did not get hurt in the battlefield, or at least was prepared for what was coming in the battlefield. This is actually an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold. It's really good. Anyway, so as the Black Canary, Dinah, Dinah. I'm used to calling her Laurel, but it's Dinah. It's Dinah Laurel Lance. Established herself as one of the best in the world and quickly joined the ranks of the Justice League. In fact, between the Justice League and the Justice League of America, which she helped found in one continuity because there's 1,000 of them in DC Comics, she was actually the chairwoman of the Justice League. She was of the Justice League of America, and in fact, 2 different versions, she was one of the head people. And in the New 52 version of the Justice League of America, she was brought in by Batman himself to help both keep him in line, keep the mission on track, and he respects her heavily. And when you have Batman's respect, you boss. Now, going back to training, her training wasn't just with Wildcat, though. She trained with Lady Shiva, long story. She trained with Cassandra Cain, not so long a story. She trained with Wonder Woman. Yeah! So she's versed in numerous martial arts, like well over a dozen, plus pressure point training, plus Amazon training, though not a master, that needs to be stated. And then, of course, there is her Canary cry. Now, there are many different interpretations of what the cry actually is, because technically speaking, she's had multiple versions of it. The original version from the comics, the Silver Age, was that she was cursed by a wizard to have it, which is a weird curse to have, but hey, comics. Then it was retconned after Crisis on Infinite Earths, so that she just had a meta gene, like many of the other metahumans in the DC universe, and then she lost her ability. She got an electronic version, which Arrow fans will recall, and then she got back her full version after going to a Lazarus pit because that always works out. Yeah, and her Canary Cry is easily one of her most impressive abilities. I consider martial arts training a little bit better, but whatever. So her Canary Cry, as she calls it, is this massive sound wave that she can project. She can have it in focus bursts. She can have it in wide range. She can use it to injure. She can use it to incapacitate. She can use it to kill. She can use it to shatter glass, break metal, and in one instance, apparently resonate the frequency of the earth and shatter it. Couldn't find that one though, but it's said in the wiki, so clearly it has to be right. Anyway, and with her cry, she can halt objects. If you recall the death battle preview, she actually stopped a train, which is pretty impressive. She used it to scare off a dinosaur because sound hurts, and so on and so forth. And then with her between her Canary cry and her martial arts training, she proved herself. I'm sorry, she proved herself as one of the best heroes around, becoming members of the Justice League, Justice League of America, the Birds of Prey, Team 7 in the New 52, which we do talk about. I don't get the hate for the New 52. It was good, mostly. Yes, I know the New 52 is where her and Oliver never met, but they fixed it. That's what matters. Anyway, and in regards to the Birds of Prey, that's arguably the group that she's most associated with, even though she's been with the Justice League multiple times. Is in the Justice League cartoon. Birds of Prey is where she really got to show her skills, including being the leader of it twice. So, and she has been a very effective leader, although she has succeeded leadership multiple times because comics. She is able to lead troops. She's even praised for her tactical ability, which is one of the reasons she was the chairwoman of the Justice League as well as the leader of the Birds of Prey, because she can effectively lead troops into battle, as well as being, of course, a master fighter herself. She has taken down several top-tier bad guys and even heroes. She's fought Lady Shiva, she's fought Ra's al Ghul, and Shiva's mother. Comics. And then she fought this guy named Batman. Yeah, she won, and she lost. They fought multiple times, but even Batman agrees that she is as good as a martial artist as him, which is not surprising because he too has been trained by Wildcat, depending on the continuity you believe. So they're when you have equal tier with Batman, it's pretty dope. Now, obviously, one of the things that most people remember about Dinah Laurel Lance, is that she has had it on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again, off again, off again. New 52, Rebirth, on again, on again, on again, off again with the Green Arrow. In fact, you could argue that if we're talking comic book relationships, Oliver and Black Canary, I'm just gonna call it Green Arrow, Green Arrow and Black Canary are one of the most beloved couples, which is why a lot of Arrow fans weren't happy when him and Laurel didn't get together in Arrow outside of like season 1 and 2, technically. But in the comics, they have gotten together multiple times. They were even married once, and in one of my personal favorites, the DC Rebirth series, they were a long-term couple, and the way they were written was just beautiful. Props to the Benson sisters for doing an absolutely incredible job with that, among other writers, of course. But yeah, they are one of the preeminent couples in the DC universe, and everyone wants to see them together because they're just so cute. So, but with Green Arrow. I used to sing Arrow. I missed the series. All right, the series just ended. My TV's over there. I just admit the ending. Series is over. I'm so sad. I don't know if we're getting Green Arrow and the Canaries. So let's just. I'm mourning. I'm still mourning. Yeah. So with Green Arrow, she has fought all kinds of villains, including Cheshire, who has poison touch. She has fought a various amount of archers. She's fought with the Birds of Prey. She's fought all kinds of villains, from Penguin to Savant to Giganta, who she took out with a Canary cry, and so on and so forth. She has been in multiple crises. She was part of Blackest Night. She's led the Justice League in multiple battles along with the Birds of Prey. She has been, again, revered as one of the best martial artists on the planet, and she can back up what she does. Oh, yeah, she was also black-haired at first, but then decided to stop wearing a wig, so she grew out her hair so she could be blonde, and that's how we got the blonde Black Canary. Comics. Yeah. Moving on to, I guess I should say weaknesses. There's one really big weakness to Black Canary, and it's one that honestly makes a lot of sense. Her Canary cry is organic, right? Not the electrical one was a device, obviously, but the organic one was just her voice. So because of that, if you bound and gag her, she can't use the Canary cry, which is actually why she prefers to use martial arts versus the Canary cry, unless she's going up against a superpowered opponent. So yeah. All right. Now moving on to Mortal Kombat. Long before the realm of Earth was ever threatened, there was a Mortal Kombat tournament to decide the fate of the realm known as Edenia, like Eden, E-O. And as the rules of Mortal Kombat were stated by the Elder Gods, if a realm defeats the chosen defenders of a realm 10 times in a row, which means 1,000 years, they can invade and take over the realm. Well, guess what? That's exactly what Outworld did to Edenia, because Edenia was known as a paradise, and it was ruled by King Jared and his queen, Sindel. Sindel was not just queen, but she was a queen for many millennia. Her Edenian physiology allowed her to, let's just say, age gracefully and rule over Edenia for many millennia. And then when Outworld came around and beat them in Mortal Kombat 10 times, they took over, killed Jared, and Shao Kahn, the Conqueror, had forcibly adopted Katana to please the people, and then tried to marry Sindel, but she didn't want that, so she killed herself and put a protective ward around Earthrealm because she knew that was going to be Shao Kahn's next target. And Shao Kahn eventually did lose to Earthrealm in Mortal Kombat, even being betrayed by Katana to get this to happen. And story over. Right? Wrong. It's Mortal Kombat. It's video games. You thought I was going to say comics a lot. Video games are just as bad in terms of storyline retcon, as you'll see. So, Queen Sindel, as I noted, committed suicide to protect Earthrealm, right? Well, Khan figured out, hey, I can resurrect her, circumvent the rules of Mortal Kombat, and just screw with everyone. And that's exactly what he did. He had Shang Tsung or Quan Chi, depending on the timeline, resurrect Sindel. The Earth Ward was dropped, and he was allowed to invade. And she was brought back as technically a resurrection, but it was also called a revenant. It's timelines. Video games. So, as a resurrected Sindel, she was brainwashed into being eternally loyal to Shao Kahn. And so she used her powers, including her Edenian physiology, to just wreck everyone that she could and was ordered to do by Shao Kahn. Now, because I keep talking about her Edenian physiology, if you watch the Death Battle preview, she has enhanced strength, durability, and speed because of her, because she's humanoid, but she's not human. So like her upper limits are vastly beyond our own. But with her physiology, she's able to just destroy things on a whim. And as you've probably seen in the infamous Mortal Kombat 9 cutscene, she can do a lot of damage to people. So, and then of course there is her Sonic Scream, which is also organic, like Black Canary's, and she can use it to incapacitate, to stun. It, since sound is a pressure wave, it can move objects, and it's been shown to like push people back and send them flying through the air. She's used it multiple times as a fatality to just kill. In one of them, she actually rips the skin off the body. And other times, she's actually made like the lower torso explode, or get up to a person's ear and just like melt their insides. It's Mortal Kombat. What do you want? Um, and so on and so forth. Now, in the original timeline, which was pre MK9, eventually she was brought back to mental capacity by Katana, who convinced her what had happened. And then she tried to stop Shao Kahn, and then Shinnok, and then Onaga, Dragon King, from taking over Edenia, which she had just gotten back. It didn't take. She kept getting invaded, and she actually got killed twice, I believe. And then eventually, when the timeline reset in Mortal Kombat 9, most of that still happened. And then she got empowered by Shao Kahn. She killed like everybody, and including her daughter. And she literally impaled Jade like through the stomach and like ripped out an organ, because why not? And she stabbed Jax through the neck with a heel, like the heel of her shoe. It would have been awesome if it was just her heel, but no, it was the heel of a shoe. It was like that long. So like that was a thing. And then she eventually died in Mortal Kombat, and she died again after the timeline reset in Mortal Kombat 9. Was brought back as a Revenant for Mortal Kombat 10, and then in Mortal Kombat 11 as a Revenant, which is like, think of it like undead soldier. Okay, so not like resurrection like she had done before, But yeah, it's video games. What do you want? I'm not gonna explain the difference between a zombie and a revenant. Ugh. Although I do love the word revenant. That's just a good word. Revenant. All right. So let's set, in terms of her combat abilities, Sindel is not just a scream queen. She is a powerful martial artist. She knows two different types of Chinese kung fu, or I guess just martial arts. One of which is about distance fighting, one is about close combat, which is tiger style. I appreciate you AEW fans who got that reference, tiger style. So she knows that, and of course, then like a certain Umbra witch that you might know, Sindel is also able to use her hair to strangle, ensnare, do long range attacks, etc., etc. And then as her entrance loves to show, she can levitate. Good times. So, whether she's on the side of good or the side of evil, she is a powerful warrior, and she has gone up against some of the best in Mortal Kombat. But because of the fact that she's still mortal, she's not immortal, and most of the time she's like empowered by Shao Kahn. Her strength isn't always what you would expect. For example, in canon, she has lost to several people, including Cassie Cage. She's lost to Katana a couple times, and of course, you could just beat her as any other character in the game because that's how Mortal Kombat works. So she can still die. It's just she's very hard to kill and keep dead. So yeah, video games. All right, so how do we decide who wins between the two Scream Queens? Now, if you recall my preview video, which I'm glad some people talked to me about, I noted that I thought this was a stomp for Sindel because Sindel is Mortal Kombat, and as a base plate for their strength, they do the Test Your Might game where you can like shatter iron or diamond, right? Well, while that is true, and she's no doubt physically stronger than a Black Canary, the difference here is that just because you're that strong doesn't mean you're gonna win. Because remember, Death Battle takes the stance of not just their strength, skill, speed, etc., but also what would be their first thing that they do. You know, if they had like one move to end it, what would they do? And for both Sindel and Black Canary, it comes down to their cries. Because, yeah, you could say, well, Sindel's hair would strangle Black Canary so that she can't scream. Yeah, that's true. Or you could say that, you know, she could just punch a hole in Black Canary's head, which I honestly think she could do. But if we're taking it from the base point of, you know, what is their most powerful attack that they would use the first time, every time, it is their screams. And based on what I have found, Black Canary's scream is stronger than Sindel's. Now, yes, Sindel uses her scream in the context of fatalities, and Black Canary is a hero, so her use of it is a little less extreme. But that doesn't mean you can't understand what the upper limits of the power is. For example, in a panel in DC Comics, uh, Black Canary's scream was shown to go so wide it could cover like a city block. Right? She's standing on top of a building, which is at least a couple stories high, and she's doing a scream, and the shockwaves are literally going through the streets, and the people are reacting to it. All right. She can, not unlike Sindel, she can focus it into smaller bursts, or like I said, you know, spread it wide. Her decibel level is over 300, which can make you bleed out your ears. Um, she's used the scream to shatter doors, shatter metal, and like I said, possibly shatter the earth. So there's no doubt that her scream could, if she ever went evil, be deadly. And I'm sure they'll reference like certain multiverse characters like Black Siren from Arrow, who did the Sindel scream in the ear thing to make your brain melt. And so while it's true that Black Canary has never had to truly use her abilities to kill somebody, they've got enough references to show exactly how powerful it is. And it is more powerful than Sindel's based on what I've seen. And a lot of that's because of just longevity. Black Canary has been around a long time, and between all the teams she's on and all the comics and spin-offs and team books, they've had a lot of ability to show off her powers. Not to mention she's a better martial artist. Not that I think it would get down to a hand-to-hand fight, but if she did, while Sindel is a capable martial artist in 2 skills, Black Canary has over a dozen. And while, yes, I would give the strength and possibly the speed advantage to Sindel because of her Edenian physiology, Black Canary ain't no slouch. Even with her Canary cry, she's not invincible, and she knows it. So she trained herself to be able to dodge bullets, which she's done regularly, dodge lasers. I'm pretty sure I saw that once or twice. Um, Go toe to toe with people like Batman, like Shiva, like Ra's al Ghul, like Savant, and more. And she's beaten some of them while injured. All right, so she's gone through, and she also has like pressure point combat. So if she wanted to, she could do pressure points so that Sindel couldn't do her scream or use some of her moves. So while Sindel definitely, I would argue, is the more frightening opponent, especially in terms of looks, and she is definitely not one to ever shy away from going to a fatality. Fatality. Black Canary is more experienced, which I know sounds weird because Sindel is like a couple thousand years old, but she wasn't a fighter all that time. She wasn't. And she was also dead for 10,000 years, so there was that. But no, I would argue that Black Canary's experience is more than Sindel's. Her I can't say that she's fought better people than Sindel because Sindel's obviously fight like a lot of realms worth of people, but I would say that Black Canary won't be shaken by her abilities because she's had to face a lot of superpowered people before. She's had to use her brain to win matches and not just her power. So despite the clear advantages that Sindel does have at points, again, cry versus cry, I think Black Canary has it. And then if they get in close, while Sindel is stronger, Black Canary's more skilled. So in this battle, I am choosing Black Canary. So with that, I'm ending this episode of Todd Talk. Who do you think is going to win between Black Canary and Queen Sindel? And how pumped are you for this upcoming matchup? Do let me know in the comments below. So I thank you for watching. If you made this far, I know you were listening, and I will see you around.